Hey, nice people. It's good to do our bi-weekly check-in together as a congregation with the sun shining on us and winter warming into spring. So a writer I admire has said that as these vaccines continue to roll out and as the clouds of pandemic finally a year later begin to lift, we face a choice about what to learn and what to forget. We've each and all lived through something so significant, so much of which we might rather forget. But it's an interesting choice, people of faith as we are, to consider, what have we learned? As this path forward starts to come into view, what will we take with us? What have we learned about God, and what have we learned about ourselves? Well, what have we learned about God? We might each have our own answers to that question, but some things might ring true between us too. We've seen God move through awful things like pandemic, recession, and deep divisions among us to call us all to more deeply into the way of Christ, driven by mercy and compassion to give of ourselves generously. We've seen God work through even awful things like this for good, bringing out some good things in us and bringing out some good things for our protection, like discovery of safe practices and vaccines. And we've learned in the anguish and grief of this year that God has not ever left us alone or without hope. We've learned some things about God worth remembering as we go from here. And we've learned about ourselves too, of course, and about the church family that we are. We might each have our own answers to the question, what have we learned about ourselves? But some things might ring true between us on that subject too. We've learned that with God we can do hard things together. We've learned that we can be who we are called to be even when our primary mode of being in person together gets suspended. We've adapted continuously, guided by principles of community, support, and safety. We've learned along our way that church is not about a building, love it as we do. Church is about sharing life with purpose. We've learned that our faith in Christ can guide us through anything, even and especially when we don't understand what's happening. We've learned things about ourselves that are worth remembering as we go from here. We're entering a new chapter of our life together with so much to be thankful for and even some things to celebrate at the end of a hard pandemic year. Guided by principles of love and inclusion and safety all the while, we can even now shout at the end of a long year that there is not one known transmission of COVID-19 that has happened because of St. Luke's Church activities. Not a single one. We've adapted our activities online and safely managed ourselves in person, including worship and study and outreach and even preschool, and not one known transmission because of what we've done and because of how we've done it. What an incredible and important thing this is to claim about our beloved congregation, something of which we can surely be proud together. We have not just continued, but expanded during this time our care for each other and our neighbors. We've added an extraordinary new food ministry, working together with our African American siblings at Dodds Sterling Church. We have discovered so much about ourselves during this difficult time that we are a strong congregation in a strong position despite having gone through so much. And our Christian principles have guided, protected, and delivered us through. And we're now actively mapping out the path forward, which will include a gradual return, phased in, of more safe in-person practices. Let's remember that the questions about our next moves are not, when will the church reopen? Because of course the church never closed. Or even, when will we get back to being in person? Because we've been in person together now for months. But more of it is coming. And keep a lookout for it. There will be detailed, phased in next things that build on what we're already doing together and in person. I invite you to come worship with us, even this Sunday. Worship with us in person in the beautiful springtime outdoor sanctuary. Or come during Holy Week for the Holy Week tent where the story of Christ's death and resurrection will be told here. And then soon again, come to the sanctuary as well. We'll be making opportunities, even as we find these next safe ways to worship together. We'll be making opportunities for groups of people to safely gather in person. We'll be making ways for us to enjoy more special events and fellowship together in person. What have we learned? We've learned a great deal about God and ourselves during this time, and at the core of what we've learned is what Jesus told us. Jesus told his followers, "This is my commandment," he said to us, "that you love one another as I have loved you. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. And you are my friends if you do what I command you." When a threatening time called for it from us, we have all and together laid down what our lives used to be for our friends, for each other, and for everyone at risk. In so doing, we've discovered that we have Jesus in us, that Jesus is our friend always when we follow him. There is great power in our faith, we have learned. Let's remember what we've learned and thank God for the lessons of the times. I hope to see you on Sunday. God bless you. Peace.